me, Clyde. You can go over here. There you go. Okay. Hello and welcome to, sorry Clyde. Hello and welcome to an as yet unfilmed corner of my new home. This is the living room that you're in right now. You're getting a little glimpse. Oh, it's not unfilmed, is it? Because I filmed a organising the bookshelves video. This is a chaotic start to a video, but this is our new sofa, and this is the little sort of like cozy nook in our living room, which I'm really excited about, and it felt like the perfect place to start the first ever reading vlog of this new house. So I actually had the place to myself for a few days. Chris is away and it's the first time I obviously have the place to myself in the 2 months that we've lived here. And although I've got plenty of work to do and plenty of Criminal Minds to watch, I've been saving up the new season, I thought this would be the perfect opportunity to film a reading vlog. I filmed a reading vlog just as I was leaving my mum's, so it feels very apt I should film a reading vlog in the early days of living in this house, although it's feeling much more like a home now that we've got a lot more of the decoration up. You know, I've got prints above me, I've got all the books out, and it's feeling like a cozy space I just want to curl up and read in, which is very exciting. So I thought that we could spend a few days together whilst I read and write for work. So yeah, let's talk about the books I plan on reading and kind of my plans for the next few days. I actually have a reading sprint live stream scheduled for this evening. It will obviously have already passed and some of you may have even been there, so hi if you were there. It will also still be available on my channel if you want to go back and watch it and just use it to kind of structure your reading and give you a little bit of company while you read. But it's the first time in a while I've done a live stream reading sprint on my YouTube channel for like a larger audience, so I'm really excited about that. I think it's going to be a nice way to spend the evening and I plan on getting some reading done. So the first book I plan on reading and finishing, because I'm already halfway through, is The Reappearance of Rachel Price by Holly Jackson. So Holly Jackson is the same author who wrote A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, the YA thriller series, and this is a standalone YA thriller, which, like I said, I've already started. I'm halfway through and I am loving this book. This is such a good book. It's about Belle, who's 18 years old. She lives in the US, and when she was 2 years old her mother went missing, and now 16 years on there's a documentary crew in her town filming her family and her community and documenting and creating a documentary about the disappearance of Rachel Price, her mother, when Rachel Price reappears after 16 years, which I think is a phenomenal concept to have the missing person come back. And that's kind of what creates the mystery, if anything. It's not just about solving a cold case, it's about figuring out whether she's telling the truth. And Belle is certainly suspicious and has a lot of questions, and love it. I think Holly Jackson is truly the queen of YA thrillers. She creates really twisty turny books, real page turners, so I plan on actually finishing this tonight potentially, if not tomorrow, because I'm really like whizzing through it. I really want to know what happens next. Then I also plan on reading Amari and the Night Brothers by B.B. Alston, which is a middle grade book with a bit of mystery but also fantasy, and this is the one that my patrons and I picked as our book club read. So we do a bi-monthly, like an every 2 month book club where we read a book over 2 months, where we pick the book together and the genre together on Discord and then chat about it. And this is our July-August read, which I'm super glad we picked actually. A few people suggested this book and we'd already decided we were going to read middle grade, which I'm very much in the mood for at the minute, and I've had it on my bookshelf for a while, so this is a good opportunity to pick it up. It's about Amari, whose brother went missing, and she's obviously really curious about what happened to her brother and wants to figure that all out. So she ends up going to a sort of like supernatural school or supernatural kind of body where she has to complete trials in order to become a part of this world, which she hasn't been raised in, so she doesn't know all the background to. She doesn't know all about magic, but she's determined to get in because she feels that it will lead her to answers about her brother. And I love those tropes when it comes to middle grades, so I'm really excited for this one. I've heard really, really good things. Then if I finish both of these books, I would like to read a comic book. I'm realising that I'm a little bit behind on my comic books. Like, I've got a little bit of a back catalogue. I've got a little bit of a back catalogue of specifically like volume 1 in series I've picked up because I think I'll like the series but haven't started yet, particularly since I went to York recently to give a talk about queering the Greek myths, and I went into Travelling Man, which is a board game and comic book shop that I really like. There's also one in Manchester. I wish we had one in Edinburgh or in Scotland somewhere, and they happen to have a 3 for 2 sale on Boom Comics, which is my favourite comic book publisher, so naturally I had to pick up 3 more. But then when I was putting them on my bookshelves, I realised that I already have a few series that I haven't started. So yeah, I need to start some of those. I need to get on with some of those. And I'll show you the ones I have to pick from later on in this vlog when I'm doing the picking. But that's what I'd like to read. Obviously, like I mentioned, I've got work. Tomorrow's Monday. I'm going to have a cosy Sunday of reading, but then tomorrow I have to get back to work. I'm in the next round of edits for my novel, and then I also have a project which I'm working on that I promised my agent material for at the end of July, so I've got till the end of the month to submit that to her, and it's an adult non-fiction book that I'm hoping to get a publishing deal for. So what is quite typical for non-fiction as opposed to fiction is that more often than not publishing deals are sort of signed without a full manuscript, because non-fiction I suppose takes so much research. In particular, you sort of pitch it to publishers with a partial, with part of it written up, as well as like an outline of the whole thing and the concept, etc. So I'm in the process of writing up the partial, the chapter of this book that I've talked about with my agent, and I'm really hoping I get a publishing deal for it, because I've already put in so much research, and I'm just really excited about it. I would really like to write about it more. It feels a little bit like I'm writing another PhD thesis, but it gets to be accessible. It gets to be for everybody to read. It doesn't have to be so dense that nobody except those with doctorates in very relevant fields can also read it, which is sometimes my problem with academia. So I'm really excited about that, but also like nervous to be out on submission. However, I can't be out on submission until I've got that part written. So yeah, we've got to complete the edits on my novel from my editor, and then we've got to finish writing up the partial for the non-fiction book that I would love to write. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be working on whilst I'm also reading. But yeah, I'm just excited to kind of enjoy the work we've done in the house so far and the cozy environment that we've created in some rooms. There's still a lot of work to do, and do a little bit of reading and take you along with me on that. So without further ado, let's do some reading, shall we? Right, let's pick some comic books ahead of the live stream, which actually starts in 10 minutes, so I better be quick. But I know there's a few on here I haven't started, and I think I'd like to pick up one of those. I mean, obviously I don't want to pick up one that I've already read, not today anyway. So I haven't read that one, so we'll take that as an option. Obviously I can take as many as I want downstairs. Yeah, okay, cool. Creepy crime mysteries, yeah, I'm down with that. Sorry, that's The Unkindness of Ravens and Homesick Pilots. I think I will also read. Ooh, what's Misfit City about? I can't remember what this one's about. Batten down the hatches. Don't know if I'm in the mood for that. Maybe Smooth Criminals is sort of, yeah. That sounds like a good choice. And or Save Yourself. Okay, I'm going to take these 4 and either start one of these during the sprint. Hi everyone. I'm assuming there's anyone there. Yeah, okay, it says there is. Update time. So I finished the Reappearance of Rachel Price, and I really enjoyed it. I almost stayed up like well past bedtime last night to finish it, because I just had a couple of chapters left, but then I flagged and I finished it this morning before starting work. But yeah, it was not a disappointment. In fact, it was just like a very good example of Holly Jackson's work, and I'm glad she's continuing to bang out absolute bangers, basically. I actually think that the adaptation, the TV adaptation of A Good Girl's Guide to the Murder is now available to watch. So I am definitely going to be watching that. I don't know if I'm going to wait till Chris comes back and see if he wants to watch it with me. But yeah, I'm like really feeling it now. You know, when you like read something good and you like get reminded of how much you enjoy an author's work. But there was some good twists and turns, some sort of like add-on bonus mysteries throughout the novel, and some like add-on bonus reveals that you weren't expecting, but also like, yeah, I get it. Obviously can't say too much, it's a mystery thriller, don't want to ruin it for you, but I really enjoyed it. And I started my second read, which was a comic book. I said I wanted to start a comic book and I ended up settling on The Unkindness of Ravens, which I believe is a standalone volume, as in it came out in 5 issues and they've been collected together here, and I think this is the whole story, which I'm glad about because I don't want it to be another like series that gets bound up in the first volume and then they never release any more and it's unfinished, because that's happened too often with me with comic books. Like small press indie comic books that aren't like part of big franchises have a difficult time getting published and getting continuing. So I'm happy that I think this is the whole thing, and it's a bit like The Craft in vibes, the film from the 90s. It's about a girl named Wilma, I think her name is Wilma, who's just moved to the small town that her dad grew up in, which has like a rich history of with the witch trials. I don't know if it's near Salem, but it's definitely in the same vicinity of the US. And when she gets there, she discovers that a girl went missing the week before who looks remarkably like her. Classic trope, right? And now she's being invited to join 2 different like cliques at the school, one who are like the dark kind of gothy witchy girls, and one who are the sort of like rich queen bee girls. And it's like, who's she gonna align with? I don't know yet. I've read the first issue and just started the second issue, and there's 5 in total, so yeah, I'm about a fifth of the way through, but I'm enjoying it. And also I really like the art, so here's a little like insight of it. I think it suits it. So yeah, I'm enjoying that, and that's what I've been reading. I'm going to start Amari tonight after work, and in the meantime I am working on my novel rewrites, edits, which I mentioned at the beginning of this video. It's lunchtime at the minute, which is why I'm sitting on the sofa. I just had my lunch whilst watching Criminal Minds. I just love that little show about Penelope Garcia. It's great. So I'm just watching that with my lunch, and then back to work to do some more edits. I'm trying not to overthink them because I have a tendency to like overthink it all and just like dive in, and later I will start Amari and let you know how I get on with it. Welcome to the woods. I've just been for a little morning constitutional, a little walk to get the brain cells stimulated and do some incredible edits on my Arthurian retelling. I mean, is this not the vibes? If you need some inspiration. Whilst I'm sitting down and before I head home, I thought I'd give you a little update on my reading, because I've also been listening to the audiobook of Amari and the Night Brothers. So I actually started reading the physical book last night and read the first 4 chapters. And I've just read the 5th chapter, or listened to the 5th chapter whilst out on my walk. And I have to say, let me know if you're like this. If I can have a book physically and on audiobook at the same time and switch between them, I'm 100% more likely to finish that book quicker, because it means that I can consistently commit to it no matter what I'm doing. And it really helps me when I sort of lose focus or get a little impatient with one format or the other. So yeah, I've been switching between the two and will continue to do that probably, but I'm really enjoying it. So far it's just charming, which is something I look for in a middle grade book. It's definitely one of my favourite middle grade tropes, which is the kind of like secret society, secret world, secret school, other world, where our young protagonist has to go and learn about that world and the secrets and the magic there and train up and potentially have to, you know, sort of compete in some challenges. There's plenty of books like that, you know what I mean, but so far this one is an excellent addition to that genre. I'm really enjoying it. I'm really curious as to what has happened to Amari's brother, and I also just already feel very invested in Amari's life. You know, it's not been the easiest life. She's just basically got expelled from school because of her bullies. They basically, you know, like baited her into pushing one of them, and physical violence is a no-no. So not only has she recently lost her brother who disappeared 6 months ago, she's just been expelled from school, and it's all just like a little bit rough at the minute, and I really want things to work out for her, but I also feel like a whole new world is about to be opened up to her, and hopefully wonderful opportunities and possibilities, as well as some mysteries and danger, of course, because there's got to be some danger, you know. And all in all, I'm really enjoying it. I'm only 5 chapters in, but so far I'm hooked and I'm excited to keep going. But I suppose that covers it for bookish updates. I'm now going to head back home so I can get some work done, and hopefully, you know, be super productive now that I've had this beautiful inspirational walk. I just got home and there'd been a book delivery, so I thought we could open it together. I'm not sure exactly what this one is, but I did order a few books secondhand online recently, so it's going to be one of those. What is it? Oh, okay, so this is a like YA horror thriller, which I found for a really good price online, called Horror Hotel, written by Victoria Fulton and Faith McLaren. I'll read you back. It just sounded really interesting. When the YouTube famous Ghost Gang, Chrissy, Chase, Emma and Kiki visit a haunted LA hotel notorious for tragedy to secretly film after dark, they expect it to be just like their previous paranormal huntings. Spooky enough to attract subscribers and ultimately harmless. But when they stumble upon something unexpected in the former room of a gruesome serial killer, they quickly realise that they're in over their heads. Sometimes it's the dead who need our help and the living we should fear. Ooh. Yeah, basically just thought it sounded really good, and I'm very much in this kind of headspace when it comes to books at the minute. So yeah, that's my little book haul for this video, unless any more of my secondhand books come while we're filming. Welcome to my kitchen, which I'm hoping you can't see too much of because it's a mess. It really needs a good tidy. But I am making myself a cup of coffee with my classic My Little Pony mug, and I thought I'd just sort of catch up a little bit. Went to vote this morning and I'm currently working on my edits, which what I find hilarious, and I don't know if anybody else is like this, so please let me know if you are, is I think because I really overthink things, almost like the first draft, the like broad draft, the actual plot line, the just like general vibes is like the easy part, and then these edits, because it's more about like, does this scene really work? Do you know what I mean? Like, are we getting exactly what we want from the scene? We need to weave in something that's coming up earlier in this scene, and it's like on a sentence level but still structural and impactful to the plot and the character development, aside from just like spelling and grammar. I like spend half an hour overthinking a sentence. That's basically where I'm at right now. I think I waste as much time overthinking it as I do actually writing it. But then I'm also like, I guess the overthinking or the thinking about it is part of the work. So just because you're not changing something on the screen doesn't mean you're not working towards it. And here we can see how it spirals. So that's what I'm doing at the minute. And in terms of reading, I'm almost halfway through Amari now. I'm really enjoying it. It ticks a lot of like tropes I'm familiar with. She's like making friends with the other outcasts, which I love. There's dragon lore, which I love, and she's gonna, you know, I'm sure show them all how amazing she is as we get further into it. And I also love, I can't remember if I mentioned this earlier, that it has working class representation. I feel like a lot of times middle grade protagonists tend to be sort of middle or upper middle class, and I think it's really nice for kids in particular to have representation of themselves seen in books. So that goes for the discussions of sort of like discrimination and racism that have come up in this book, but also in terms of classism. And I think, yeah, I'm really enjoying the fact that there's some working class rep in there. So I will update you again later. I'm going to get my coffee and go back to overthinking my novel. Remember how I said I ordered some secondhand books online? 2 more of them came. I already opened them though, and then remembered I said I would share them if they came. So I bought both of these on Vinted from people selling them secondhand, and they're both books I'm really interested in reading. But even better, they're special editions. So I was just looking for like hardback books and like scrolling through what people are selling. Sometimes, you know, like when you're watching TV in the evening and you just scroll. And I found someone selling some of their old like subscription box copies. This one is Afterlight by Illumicrate, which I am actually subscribed to, but wasn't the month this came out, and it's a sapphic contemporary romance between a scriptwriter and an actress, I believe. And look at that cover, it's so beautiful. And it has these lovely sprayed edges. It's called For Her Consideration by Amy Spalding, and I'm always looking for more like queer rom-coms to add to my TBR, so I'm really excited to read this one, and I love that it's beautiful, extra beautiful, you know, lovely. And then we have the Fairy Loot edition of Threads That Bind by Kika Hatsopoulou, and this one's inspired by Greek mythology, and it's about one of the Fates, or one of the descendants of the Fates, who's also like a private investigator. I've heard amazing things about this one, like the reviews have been phenomenal, so I'm really excited. Plus again, it's beautiful. Like I said, I am subscribed to Afterlight by Illumicrate, and my partner is subscribed to the regular Illumicrate, which is their like fantasy science fiction subscription. But you know, there's so many beautiful special editions now of books and so many subscription services, which is a ton of fun, because obviously that means they offer lots of different books, that there's just no way, like, well, I personally could afford to be subscribed to them all. So the fact that I got both of these books, I think for less than $10 each, including postage, from people who'd already read them or just didn't fancy them anymore. It's just fantastic. So I'm really excited to add these beautiful editions to my shelves and have even more beautiful special editions. But I do want to say that I do love these subscription boxes, and like I recommend checking them out full price and supporting them anyway. But I also know there's a lot of waiting lists, and sometimes you can't get subscribed to them for the months you want to be subscribed to them. So it's nice that we can share those books and pass them on to one another. But yeah, let me know if you've read either of these and what you thought of them. Which one should I read first? Because they both sound amazing, really different and beautiful. It will probably come as no surprise that one of my dreams as an author for my Arthurian retelling that's coming out next year is to get a special edition. Like, I feel like that, oh, I don't want to like jinx it might not happen, but gosh, wouldn't that be so cool? I feel like that would be such a cool thing to happen as an author. So, you know, that's one of my little like stretch goal dreams that you never know, eh? Keep your fingers crossed. So I completely forgot to film anything yesterday. Chris is back. We spent the day together. We went to the cinema. It was lovely. But yeah, I didn't get any vlog footage. However, I have finished the rest of my reading for this vlog, so I thought I'd update you on that, and also maybe include a little bonus film review since we went to see Maxine. So first I finished An Unkindness of Ravens, and I misunderstood a little bit when I was saying earlier in this vlog that it's, you know, like 5 and done. It's a like full story in 5 issues. It's not. There is only 5 issues, but it's not a full story. It's just not continuing on, which I think is such a shame. I think there was some really sort of great starting points to the mystery and the world building in this story. It's like Mean Girls meets The Craft. And I enjoyed the artwork, and that last volume really threw a lot at you. But then for it to finish with no sort of future volumes in its future is just quite disappointing. So I feel like I can't recommend it because it's not a satisfying reading experience with the knowledge that there is no more. If that ever changes, if the artist and the writer come back to it for whatever reason, it's been quite a few years, bear in mind, then I would definitely recommend it. I think it's fun, I think it's interesting, but yeah, that was a bit of a shame, and that was my misunderstanding, unfortunately. I then also finished Amari and the Night Brothers, which I loved. Charming is my go-to word for sort of middle grade that I enjoy, but this is only the second middle grade book I've read this year. I previously read Hedge Witch and loved that as well by Skye McKenna, and having read this sort of a month or two after I read Hedge Witch is such a reinforcer that I love middle grade, because I don't think I really read any of it last year, and that just happens, when you're not actively reading a genre, you forget how good it is. Not that middle grade's a genre, but it definitely has, kind of similarities in its books, because it's written for a specific age range, and it does have a lot of charm and wit and humour generally. I find middle grade, as well as touching on quite deep topics in there, and that's what this book does. Like I said, we've got, discussions of discrimination and racism and classism. We've also got the fact that her brother is missing, so, she's very, distressed by that, and she's struggling with loneliness and making friends, etc. I think middle grade can do awesome things and be awesome to read as an adult, and I think this middle grade is a perfect example of this, and I cannot wait to pick up the next one. I don't know what to say without spoiling anything, but I think it just, ticks all the boxes for me when it comes to middle grade that is both wonderful for children and can also be enjoyed by adults, which is a massive bonus. I do think, and I think this is really important when talking about middle grade books or books for younger readers, that the younger reader is the primary demographic and what they think matters the most. I just think it's awesome if adults can enjoy it too from a personal perspective. So yeah, if you're thinking of getting into middle grade and you haven't read much of it as an adult, this would probably be a great one to jump in with. I think you'd really enjoy this. And if you're already into middle grade and you haven't read this, then definitely check it out. But yeah, generally I did actually really enjoy everything I read during this cozy week, mainly by myself. Just a little bit disappointed, obviously, that I won't get to find out what happens next in the comic book. And then, like I mentioned, Chris and I went to cinema yesterday. We saw Maxine, which is the final installment in the X horror trilogy. So there was X, then there was the prequel to X, Peril, and now the sequel to X, Maxine. Now, I haven't actually seen Peril, so I don't think you need to see Peril to see Maxine, but you do need to see X because it's a direct sequel, about the same character. And I will watch Peril. I know everybody thinks that's probably the best of the trilogy, so I will get to it. But I really enjoyed Maxine. I really enjoyed how campy 80s slasher horror it was. It really just harkened back to a lot of the sort of excessive gore, bright colours, and kind of 80s aesthetic that you get in that kind of era of cinema, and particularly in horror. And I really enjoyed that. I liked the way it was filmed. I really enjoyed the way X was filmed too. I think they're filmed really, really well, and I just overall thought it was just an enjoyable horror film. I'm not much of a film reviewer, let's be honest, but I thought it was well done and I enjoyed it. And I thought Mia Goth was particularly fantastic in this one. I enjoyed her performance in X, but for me, Brittany Stoll was a standout, whereas Mia Goth I felt really shined in Maxine. And for anybody who has seen Maxine, you'll know that part of the plot is they are filming a film, so there's sort of references to a film within the film, which isn't a real film, but I wish it was, and I kind of wish Ty West would make that film. That could be the next part of the series, right? They make the film that they were filming in Maxine because it sounded good. It was also a horror film and I would watch it. And in terms of work, I'm quite happy with the progress I made. I felt like I really figured out in my mind and in my noting process some of the ways in which I could work in some themes earlier in the book that I was struggling to sort of process before. So I felt like I, broke through some little barriers I was having with these edits. And next week it's just going to be much more of the type it up. So yeah, overall it was a very good week. Thank you for keeping me company. Let me know if you'd like to see more reading vlogs in the future, and I will see you all again in the next one. Bye everyone.